Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name's Austin. The Last of Us episode 2 is out on HBO Max now, and from the last week's episode, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the first episode of The Last of Us. I thought it was a great adaptation for the game, and some minor changes there and then. Mostly the first 30 minutes of that episode was a huge change to the episode. We got a longer flashback with Joel and Sarah, and a little sprinkle of changes throughout that episode there. This one, it's going to be spoilers as well. I'm going to be doing spoilers throughout these whole entire reviews. If you guys haven't seen the episode or haven't played the games, you guys don't really want any spoilers. You're kind of just watching the TV show, or you haven't watched the episode yet and you want to watch that before watching this. Go do that and come back and watch this. But that is your guys' warning. I'll be kind of doing like a sort of comparison, but not like really degrading the episode based off the game, mostly of how well the episode does on its own, and sort of like more like which one do I prefer, but not like, you know, that's the reason why the episode is like degraded, or reason why that grade is for what it is. And so that's just letting people know out there straight off the bat with that. Like the previous episode, this one opens up with a flashback. I'm kind of curious if this is going to be like its style, where every new episode is going to start out with a flashback. Well, in this first episode, it starts out with back in 2003, and it's a woman that is like, I believe, some part of the different worlds, either Japan, China, one of the two. I don't remember exactly where it was. I don't even know if it even said where it was. But so we kind of focus on like another part of the world before everything happens on day one, and she's like a teacher or some form of a scientist, and the military really needed her to come and like figure out what this thing is. And they find out that I'm not gonna be able to say whatever the fungus is, which is a real thing. Which keeps blowing me away. But so they figured out that it has evolved where it can affect humans. And this kind of reminds me of Chernobyl a little bit. I haven't watched the full like Chernobyl series, but I've seen clips, and it's like, this feels very Chernobyl-y to it. And so, and just like watching this, I'm like, this is the most suspenseful thing I have seen in a television, and it looks amazing. Like, I really enjoyed this first like opening for the episode, and I think it's like one of the biggest highlights of the episode as well, at least when it comes to like new things that they're adding on. And so like, and it's cool to see her reaction to be like, yeah, bomb the whole entire city, because there is no cure, there is no medicine, there's no vaccine, there is none. So bomb the city with everyone in it. And after that, she's like, I want to go home and spend the rest of my time with my family. And like, that is such an emotional beat to the episode and to the series. And it's basically adding something that we've never seen. We've never ever seen what happens to the outside world besides to what we've seen to the main characters in the game. So seeing that was really cool, and getting a good idea how badly this was to the whole entire world, especially day one opening. I would like to see like, you know, a full-on day one episode, to be honest, and I think that would be really cool. And so maybe they'll do a spin-off series with it, I don't know, but like, knowing that is such a cool idea, and I would love to see that. This one thing I really liked the first season of Fear the Walking Dead is that it was like, oh, it's gonna be like it's gonna be day one of the apocalypse, the outbreak, and it wasn't really that, but it was sort of that. And after the first season, they just kind of dropped it, and it came the same thing as The Walking Dead, but even worse. And so it was like, all right, well, I'm hopping off this show, because I mean, might as well just watch The Walking Dead. At least it's way better, and I care about characters. So hopefully, if they go that route, they don't do it in that way, and kind of ruin the lore of, you know, certain things, because that's what Fear of the Walking Dead sort of did. It changed things, and well, not changed. Well, it just didn't really do anything and didn't go anywhere. Speaking of The Last of Us, this is another great episode. I really enjoyed it, but I have one sort of minor problem with this episode. So basically, the way that the first episode ends. It ends with the shot of the city in the darkness, and it's raining, it's pouring, and it flashes the two buildings, setting up. All right, we're going, or that's basically where our next episode is going to. It's set up to be this next big event that is going to be very suspenseful, and we just cut to daytime, and we avoid that whole entire situation. Now, I don't mind the whole entire building section being cut out of the show if that's what they didn't want to do, and if maybe it had some budget effect where they couldn't really do it and where it wouldn't look as good as they want it to be. I can understand that point. But in the game, that was the first interaction that we ever got with a clicker or any affected in general, and so that was like a great, for the game, that was a great way to introduce the clickers, and like it was very suspenseful, and it caught me off guard the very first time I ever played the game, and it really scared me. And so it was like, for me going in, it's like, okay, I can't wait for this. Oh, they're not going that route? Okay. Let's see where it goes. And it's like, it's suspenseful because they add new things where like, because they didn't do the spores. So they replaced the spore idea with the fungi's like having vines of some kind. And if you touch it, it sends signals to other infected and they know where you are and they'll come and get you. Like that's a cool idea. I'm trying to think of what that reminds me of in some form. I think it might be A Quiet Place that did that, but I think I might be thinking of something else that did something similar to that. I can't remember at the top of my head, but I was like, okay, that's a neat idea. I like that. But imagine this whole entire episode at night. It's like a tiny little change, but when they made the episode in daytime, I kind of lost the suspense for it. Now the tension was still there, but the suspense for the episode wasn't really there because and it's not just really because I know what's coming up next, because mostly they changed a lot. This episode mostly from the point of the game, like getting to point A to point B was sort of different. They changed a little bit of it. There's a little bit more dragged out, like, you know, narration where where Joel is talking with Ellie, you know, sort of character bonding, and less of like trying to, all right, we need to get out of this situation right now or we're gonna die. That was more towards the end. We'll get to that point later. That stuff I don't mind. Like that type of change where I don't mind, like for example, the Robert situation in the first episode. In the game, Joel and Tess kill Robert. Like they go after, it's a whole entire thing in the game. But that part of the game was mostly for the players so they can learn the controls. Like that I understand. So changing that I can get and like accept. But when you change a whole entire point of where you set up tension, and especially when you set up at the end of the game of the episode saying like, all right, here, this is where we're taking you in the next episode. It's like a Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom situation where you set up the idea of dinosaurs roaming the mainlands and next not doing nothing with it is what that ending felt like. And I'm not comparing it to Jurassic World Dominion at all because that movie overall was bad. This episode is just like it lost that suspense and somewhat of tension when you just like had that change all of a sudden where it's daytime and like, oh yeah, we're fine, and ignore that setup because we're gonna go in a completely different direction. If you made it nighttime, where with the rain and everything, and you still kept everything the same, the tension would have been 10 times higher. Not better, 10 times better. And so I feel like it would have been a lot more scarier if it was just dark. And it's just a slight little change. But it's like, for example, I don't know, making an apple pie, but then you accidentally, you know, mix pumpkin with it, and the taste is just completely different. That's how this felt like when you made it daytime. And it's just, I don't know, I didn't really like it that it was in the daytime, but it didn't bother me where it was like, you know, bumping the game, where it was bumping like the rating down. Not in that way. It's just like, I imagine the tension of it being at night. I feel like that you setting up the idea of of the clickers at night is way more scarier with the rain, hearing them for the first time in the echo, and it's dark, you don't know where they are. And next, when you see the clickers in here, it's like sort of dark, but it's also during the day, so it's like you can sort of see, and it's like, well, I'm like, it's way scarier if it's just dark, because all you do is can hear them all, and they're like somewhere in the darkness. Here they're in like the shadows, you can sort of see them. It's like, okay, there they are. Oh, okay, there they are. But the sound is what makes them scary, and also the look, because the look, the freaking costume design, or the like the FX, what's the word? Practical effects. There's the word. For the clickers, look amazing. Like, they look directly from the game, and they look creepy in their own way, and it looks great. But what makes them scary is when you hear their clicking, and you just don't know where they are. And in the show, they do utilize that, but it's like, I know what they're, but I know where they're gonna pop up. They're gonna pop up right there because I can see them in the day of light. It's not, so it kind of loses that tension. But maybe from a first view audience and that haven't played the game might be different. But if you made it at night, I guarantee they would have been 10 times more scarier, because I just like that slight little change would make things even better. And so for me, I feel like they lost a lot of tension, but as well they gained a lot more when they mentioned like the change of the spores with the vines. That added a lot of tension too, and so that kind of saves it in some way, but not that much. And also giving more character development, where Joel's talking to Ellie. You know, they're sort of figuring out somewhat each other's past, talking about the bite situation. Ellie gets bit again, and as well at the end of the episode, if you guys haven't played the game or haven't seen the episode, it's kind of spoilers, big spoilers. Tess dies. So yeah, Anna Toy, I don't even know how to say her last name. Dies at the end because she gets bit in the situation in the museum where where they were dealing with the clickers. And so, which that kind of is like, that's an obvious shot where like, she's a dead type of, they kind of linger on her. It's like, well, that's kind of giving away on the audience that she's dead. Like, wish they, cut that short a little bit and just like left, and it's like, more of the shocking moment. But it definitely felt like, oh yeah, she bit the dust, that's for sure. I do like that that Ellie gets bit again, because it proves even more the fact that she is immune to this fungus, and so it's like it sort of hits even more deeply when Joel has to leave her, because even Joel's like, I gotta go then, and so he kind of dips out without saying goodbye. And so it's like even more of a heartbreak in this ending of the episode. And as well as that, it's not, because in the games, mercenaries come after them. And so that's kind of like another segment for Joel and the player, to start attacking people and such. But here it's infected because, they sort of alert them, and now they're coming in. So Tess stays behind to blow them up and kisses one of them. That's kind of, I don't know about that, but that was weird for sure. And so, and the explosion's kind of like her final way to go out instead of being shot. I understand that change because, to give the player something to do. And so in the game, then, in the show. But yeah, overall, enjoyed the episode. Just minor changes would add so much to it. And I'm not saying that this is bad in any way. I just think that it would be 10 times as better if you didn't change it to night. If you want to take out the building situation, I can understand. Maybe you couldn't afford it, or maybe it's like, you know what, this episode's already long enough. I think we could be good. Just keep this an hour long, and let's get to, and then let's keep on with the narration part. That I can understand. But I wish it was at nighttime, because the rain and being at night just makes everything even more scary. There's time, like when I play a horror game, I hate playing it at night, because just that feeling of playing at night gives off a different feeling. And sometimes I do it just to, to feel would this be like the true experience to play a horror game in. And so just adding that tension, adding that atmosphere makes things so much more different, in my opinion. But yeah, still really enjoyed the episode. Had a lot of fun with it. I can't wait for episode 3. I think this is one of the best adaptations ever. And there's a lot of people like, oh, did this break the adaptation curse? Each game has its own adaptation for its own reason. So the curse of it being broken has been broken. I mean, like we had Pokemon and all that, and like multiple other game adaptations. So for like The Last of Us itself, I think this is a good adaptation with just minor little nitpicks throughout the episode so far. I don't think there's gonna be any like huge minor change, like huge changes to the story at all. I'm kind of worried about what they're gonna do in the final episodes, but when we get to there, I'll talk about if they do it or they don't. I'll give my thoughts on that. Even in the season review, I'll try to sort of give my thoughts. I'm gonna give The Last of Us episode 2 an A-. Just make those minor changes always matter. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye guys.